So we touched on it earlier. I got to hear the story. How in the world does Arn Anderson wind up under a hood and calling himself Super Olympia?
Okay, so we have that famous 6 months again. 6 months for Bill, 5 or 6 months, 6 months in Atlanta. Had an episode where Matt got into a little bit of trouble and got fired.
We're talking about Matt Bourne, who would go on to be Doink for some of our younger listeners who may not put two and two together.
That's correct. So he got fired. Now this one is probably going to jar you out of your chair if you really think about it for a minute. So Ole, in those days, as smart as he was and in control of his business totally, for some reason, he only saw me in one light. So when Matt got canned, other than keeping Paul and I and just giving me another partner, because they were grooming us for the national tag titles, I believe they were called in those days, which were their world tag titles. He was grooming us for that situation. When Matt got fired, Ole just kind of went, hey, I don't know what I'm going to do with you. We'll try to figure something out, but I may need to get you booked out somewhere. Well, Ole, now needing a team, other than finding me a partner, he went up to Minneapolis, went to a gym up there, the gym, started looking around. Guess who he found?
The Road Warriors.
Bingo.
Unbelievable.
Now, as you're getting yourself up off the floor, let me just put this food for thought in there. What would have happened if Matt Bourne hadn't have got fired?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And we'd have went on. We would have got the world tag, or their version of the world tag titles, which were national tag titles. I would think would be a long run as champions. There might not have been a Road Warriors.
That's pretty crazy to think about.
I mean, there's a lot of ifs. I want to say, Mike and Joe would have made it in some capacity down the road, or, maybe I'm overthinking that, but it's just one of those things where you go, wow.
It's pretty unbelievable
so anyway,
how it all sort of ties together. I mean, it's, if one little thing along the way changes, everything looks different.
Yeah, well, it could have, hypothetically. I think Joe and Mike were meant, and Paul Ellering, certainly that package was so good. And it was, they were so different at the time. I think they would have came together anyway, but who knows, who knows. But anyway, the point is, after too much longer, Ole looks at me and he goes, I've ran out of stuff for you to do. You want me to get you booked out? And I went, you know what? I got enough good TV. And we did, we had good TV under our belts at that particular point in time. I said, I can probably give Bob Armstrong a call. So I called him myself, and he said, you kidding me? He said, I've been watching you on TV up there. You've done a really good job. Well, yes, we can use you. You can start in Birmingham on Monday. I got an idea for you. So at that point in time, I get down there, and Jerry Stubbs, who was Mr. Olympia, if you recall him.
Right.
Fantastic body. Guy looked like $1 million. And underneath that hood, his gear always looked good. He used the bright, shiny colors. Guy was tan from living in Pensacola, Florida, obviously laying out by his pool all the day. Trained constantly, looked like $1 million. He said he needs somebody to work with, so I'm going to bring you in as Super Olympia, which as a babyface, which I number one, didn't have any experience being, and number two, I can't see worth a shit because I wear glasses. So putting on the mask alleviated, being able to see on top of that. And I'm a little claustrophobic. There's 3 negatives. But I said, hey, I'll do the best I can. And they brought me in as his pseudo partner. And that lasted a little bit of time. And then they turned me on him, pulled off the mask, realized, oh, that's Arn Anderson. son of a gun, because I was fresh off of that television, and that was a big break that I got down in Pensacola.
We're going to post a picture on Twitter. You got to see this at the Arn show of Arn under a hood. It's a rare little promo photo, taken on the beach in a red and blue mask. It's just hard to believe, man. I didn't know when we first started, doing research for this show that you were ever under a hood at all. So that was news to me.
Well, what was nuts and news to me is that I would be out on Pensacola Beach with a wrestling mask on, posing.
Yeah, that's got to be pretty weird, huh? I mean,
who does that?
Yeah,
nobody does that. But the thing about it was, again, now as soon as I go to work down there, there's another name that comes into place. Tim Horner comes in almost exactly at the same time, who I had already established a friendship, living with him for 5 months. And Tim Horner's really, to this day, a good friend of mine. Then I made good friends with the Armstrongs and all that stuff. So they're going, hey, listen, here's the deal. As a babyface, you sell your pictures, you get all the money. So they were out on the beach taking pictures, that they were selling, little Polaroids, and run them off, and, whatever the deal was. So I thought that was what was done. Looking back on it, if I'm a person that's riding by the beach and I look down and see that, I'd call the cops.
Sure. Absolutely.
So it was a weird deal having a mask on, but you know what? It led to somewhere else. And in those days, listen, you could have dressed me up like Winnie the Pooh. I wouldn't have cared. I just wanted to be in the business and make my way to the point that I would be looked at as, hey, that guy should be in the business.